Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to the first day of official Shadows Over Innistrad spoilers. So we saw a fair amount of spoilers last week, however today is the official start to spoiler season, and we'll be getting spoilers at the very least every weekday for the next 2 weeks. So look for us to put out daily videos any day that we have spoilers, to compile them for you and to do a little bit of quick analysis. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, definitely a great time to do so. Now, as you can see on the screen, we have an exciting card to talk about today with the new Planeswalker, Nahiri the Harbinger. So we'll be looking at that in greater detail in a few minutes, but let's start sifting through all of the new information. Let's start with Fiery Temper. Now, this was leaked a number of weeks ago, but it has now been officially confirmed by Wizards that it will be in the set. This was originally printed in Torment and was reprinted in Time Spiral as a time-shifted card. So we played with this. We kind of know what it can do, and we've talked about it in the previous video, so I won't go into crazy detail, but just know it's a very good card. It's great for you in Limited. It's going to be great in Standard, especially if you can play it for the Madness cost. It's basically a lightning bolt in that case. Very good card. Next thing we saw today was the gift box. This is actually the first time they showed us the art for the gift box, although Wizards did say that there would be a gift box involved in this product as well. But more importantly, the gift box does come with a alternate art card. And here's the alternate art card. It's Ravenous Bloodseeker. Now, this was spoiled last week, so I won't go into detail. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on this card in particular, check out that video last week. But this is the alternate art, so I just wanted to show it to y'all. Next card is another card that was actually spoiled last week that we talked about in a previous video. So again, I won't go into detail, but this is the Buy Box promo. So the front side of the Buy Box promo was kind of leaked / spoiled last week, but we didn't see the back side. So now you can see this card, and this will be, of course, in foil. And you can get these when you purchase a booster box opening weekend at most of your LGSs. Alright, here's a Game Day promo card, and again, this is another card that was spoiled last week. It's incorrigible use, and we're seeing the full art, alternate art version of it that you'll get if you participate in Game Day. And speaking of Game Day, here is the Game Day Championship playmat if you happen to win your Game Day at your local LGS. And we have one more card coming up that will be the top 8 cards. So that is a brand new card that was revealed today, so more on that in just a few moments. Next, let's talk about intro decks. So these were kind of leaked / spoiled last week. Wizards kind of accidentally sent the information out a little too soon, and then they confirmed that these are in fact real. So these kind of have been already confirmed. Last week we had actually seen 3 of the cards, so just a real quick recap. We talked about Markov Dread Knight, but we had a horrible picture of it, so there's a better picture. We also talked about Flameblade Angel, so there's another better photo of it. Finally, we have Soul Swallower here. Now, this was actually spoiled as a Shadows Over Innistrad regular set card last week, and we did talk about it in a previous video. The version you're seeing here, of course, is the intro deck version of it. And now we have 2 brand new cards to look at. They're both intro deck versions of their cards. The first one is Drogskov Cavalry, and this costs 2 white, 5 generic. It's a 4/4 Spirit Knight with flying, and whenever another spirit enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 2 life, and you can pay a white and 3 generic to put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So first off, let me say this. In general, maybe with the exception of the Soul Swallower, which looks kind of interesting to me, these intro deck cards are really kind of like high-end, maybe sealed cards. Like, these are cards that are probably good in Limited, but not a whole lot of other places, and this is kind of like that. So I will say the art looks really cool on this, but other than that, paying 7 for a 4/4 flyer does not feel really good, especially considering it doesn't even have a enters the battlefield effect on it, really. So this is a real hard card to get behind. Now, where can you actually play this? It's probably fine for you in Limited, especially if you have maybe a couple other spirits. But aside from that, it's a great mana sink. So even though it's only a 4/4 flyer for 7, if you have mana to sink into this and you can keep getting some spirit tokens, they can really start to take over a game, especially if you're gaining life every time you do it. So yeah, in that regard, this will be a fine Limited card in some decks for you. Other than that, I don't see it doing a lot. I mean, you could say maybe Commander if you had some sort of spirit theme happening, but quite honestly, that even feels like a stretch for me. The stats on this just seem a little too fragile. Next is Natalia Moondrakes, and of course this is another intro deck card. This costs 2 blue and 5 generic. It's a 5/5 flyer. When this enters the battlefield, target creature gains flying until end of turn. You can pay 2 blue, 4 generic, exile this from your graveyard, and creatures you control gain flying until end of turn. This feels a little better than the previous card to me, but really not super exciting either. So you're paying 7. This time you're getting a 5/5 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, you can give something else flying, so that would be relevant at least part of the time. And if you end up, say, milling it or discarding it for some reason to kind of build up a Delirium or have some sort of recursion plan or something like that, you can just go ahead and pay 6 and give all your creatures flying for a turn. That's not horrible either. So this is still not a great card as far as constructed formats or anything like that, but this is probably even a little better than the previous card for limited. So yeah, this one will probably do a little more work for you in the limited environment. Alright, next, speaking of expensive cards, we have Angel of Deliverance. Now this is 2 white, 6 generic. It's a 6/6 Angel of Flying, and if you have Delirium, whenever Angel of Deliverance deals damage, now not to a player, but deals damage, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, exile target creature an opponent controls. So this is still expensive, but now the effect is a lot better than the last couple of cards we saw, right? Now the version of this card I should point out we're looking at is the launch day promo version of it, so this will be your launch day promo card. Now, having said that, is this good enough? So first off, in limited, it's expensive. I mean, 8 mana can be difficult to get to. Not all limited decks are going to want to try to do that, but it's reasonable, especially in sealed. So yeah, it can do some work for you in limited. Once you get it online, if you have Delirium, I mean, the thing's a bomb. I mean, 6/6 flyer is great already in limited, and then the fact that even if it blocks a creature, you get to go ahead and exile one of your opponent's creatures. It's important that it's actually exiling too and not destroying, due to a lot of the graveyard shenanigans that'll be going on in the set. So this can be a good limited card. It's probably not going to fit into all decks, but when you get it and you're in white, you'll probably be relatively happy to have it. Now, here's where this gets interesting. This card gets a lot better if you can reanimate it. So if you have a deck that's going to be dumping a lot of cards in the graveyard where Delirium is going to be easy to get, and then you can reanimate this thing, then it becomes much, much better. And I see this being a really good commander card. I could see this being an awesome commander card, actually, just because of the fact that 8 mana is not too terribly difficult to get up to in commander games, and also filling your graveyard is not too terribly difficult to pull off. So this becomes much better, and it really is going to deter players from attacking you, because if you block with this thing, you're probably going to kill their creature number 1, and then you're going to be able to exile another one of their creatures. So if nothing else, it just keeps people off your back for a while until you're ready to get more offensive. So for that regard, this is awesome. Could this thing make it into standard? The only way it could is if there's really good reanimation that we haven't seen yet, and there's not any better reanimation targets, if that makes sense. So now, it's too early to decide whether there's going to be a reanimation deck in standard yet, but don't count this thing out quite yet until we see all the cards. Next is Descend Upon the Sinful, another pricey card, 2 white, 4 generic. This one's a mythic, it's a sorcery. You get to exile all creatures, and if you have Delirium, you get a 4/4 white angel token with flying onto the battlefield. Now, a couple things I'll say about this card. First off, it's mass removal at Mythic. I don't know, that makes me a little sad. I feel like I'd rather see mass removal land in the rare spot, but it seems like Mythic is maybe kind of where it's going, at least for some of the higher end versions that give you a lot of upside. Now, this costs 6, which isn't cheap, but it's not completely out of casting range, and the effect is very powerful. So we'll talk about limited first. Board wipes in limited are always good. You have control when they hit the board, or if they hit the board, which means they're going to be a very, very powerful card for you in a limited environment. As far as standard goes, if there's a control deck out there, this will be fine in it. And the fact that it's exiling all creatures is going to prevent any sort of reanimation or any sort of help with Delirium or anything like that for your opponent, so that's definitely a good thing. And I do like these board wipes that give you upside, like in this case the 4/4 angel tokens. So this is a good removal spell. It's going to be fine in standard as long as there's a deck that needs it, like a control deck, and it's going to be great for you in limited. My only complaint, I guess, about the card is I rather see this type of thing at rare, but maybe they just don't want it occurring that often in limited. Next, we have another mythic, Startled Awake, which transforms into Persistent Nightmare. Now, this is a sorcery, costs 2 blue, 2 generic. Target opponent puts the top 13 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Then you can pay 2 blue and 3 generic to put this from your graveyard onto the battlefield, transform. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. It comes back as a 1/1 Nightmare with Skulk, and when this deals combat damage to a player, return it to its owner's hand. So the concept here is you're basically able to cast this hopefully multiple times and continue to mill your opponent out. Now, this is probably pretty decent in limited, right? When you're going up against a 40 card deck, 13 cards is pretty significant. If you play this mid to late game, you might only have to do this twice to basically mill your opponent out. It's a little risky in this format because you may be putting a lot of stuff in your opponent's graveyard that they might be able to either recast or recur, or it will go towards Delirium or what have you. But if you can kind of mill them out fast enough, then it's probably worth the risk, right? Now, having said that, outside of limited, I really don't see any purpose for this card or any place it really fits. Let me know in the comments below if you think of anything for sure, but aside from limited, I'm just not really seeing it, which kind of makes this a little bit of a disappointing mythic. If you open this and this is your mythic and you happen to be playing sealed, or you open this in a draft and you're in blue, well, okay, that'll be fun, but after that, what do you do with this card? And if you're just cracking packs and you open it, it's probably not going to feel great. And like I said, maybe I'm missing something here, but it just feels like a really strong limited card, and maybe it was just such a strong limited card that they just had to keep it at the mythic level. I don't know, but a little disappointed this one's at mythic, I guess. Other than that, it's going to do work for you in sealed and draft. Sinister Concoction. I love the flavor of this one. 1 black. It's an enchantment. Now, you pay a black and pay 1 life and put the top card of your library into your graveyard and discard a card and sacrifice Sinister Concoction. Destroy target creature. So look at the wording here carefully. The colon is at the very end after it says sacrifice Sinister Concoction, destroy target creature, which means you do indeed have to do all of those things on the list. So if you don't have any cards to discard, you can't use the ability. You have to be able to discard a card. You can't just skip something if you don't have it. So having said that, I think this is still very, very good. So first off, it's at uncommon. The fact that you can just drop this down on turn 1 is really going to make your opponent think about how they want to play their creatures in the future. Now, the downside I'll say is it is a destroy effect and not an exile effect, which might mean your opponent can perhaps easily bring their creature back with some of the cards we've already seen spoiled, but it's still very cheap. So you get to put this down basically for 2 black mana and a whole slew of other things. You get to destroy a creature. But let's look at those drawbacks. Paying a life, okay, that's not too big of a deal. Then you get to mill a card, which is going to help you if you're trying to get Delirium, or maybe there's some sort of reanimation thing going on in your deck. Discarding a card, that can really help with madness costs, and then of course sacrifice this card. So if you manipulate this the right way, these drawbacks could actually be advantages, and this card becomes that much better. So this could see some standard play. It just depends on what kind of decks end up hitting the metagame. I still feel like we might be able to see maybe a green-black sort of Delirium / Madness deck or something like that. And if that's the case, yeah, this could definitely see play in it. And even if we don't, if we just really are desperate for cheap removal, this is still cheap removal, even with some drawbacks, and could still make it there. It's going to be great for you in limited. This will be really awesome in draft and sealed. And yeah, other than that, not a whole lot I can say. I mean, it's kind of nice too, because even if you're splashing black, you might not necessarily be able to get double black easily, but you can kind of pay for this in installments, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I like this card a lot. The biggest thing I like about it is the flavor, just the fact that it's like a witch's brew and you're throwing in some life and a card from your library and a card from your hand. That's awesome. So this is a huge flavor hit as well. Okay, so the next card, you're actually seeing 2 versions of it on the screen. One's the regular version, and one is the Game Day Top 8 version. And this is Anguished Unmaking. 1 black, 1 white, 1 generic. It's an instant. Exile target non-land permanent. You lose 3 life. So I guess this is kind of the new version of Vindicate, and it's still very good. And Vindicate obviously would have been too good. You can't reprint that. The biggest issue with Vindicate is the fact that it's destroy any permanent, and you can basically destroy land for 3 mana, which we know Wizards doesn't really want to do that or get into that business again. So they're going to change it to non-land permanent. They're also going to make you lose 3 life for using it. But there is a little bit of an upside because it exiles and doesn't destroy. So that's going to be good, especially in this block. Now, having said that, paying 3 for an instant that can get rid of an issue, even if it costs you 3 life, pretty awesome. So I don't think I need to say this card is going to be real good. It's going to definitely see some play in Standard. I think it's good enough to see some Modern play. And it's awesome. Obviously, bomb in limited. We'll have to kind of see as far as the lose 3 life. I mean, that's not a huge drawback, but if you're running 4 of these in your deck, that could add up over time, especially if you have other things in your deck that may be taking life as well. So there may be a balance that has to be met here, or maybe there's some life gain that can be kind of sprinkled in. We'll see as more of the sets revealed. But yeah, this is going to be an awesome card. Also, the art on the regular version is part of the art that you see on the Champion playmat for game day, and the promo art is actually also very interesting. Alright, so we made it to the last card of the day, and it's a big one. It's Nahiri the Harbinger. 1 white, 1 red, 2 generic, Planeswalker, 4 loyalty, +2. You may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. -2, exile target enchantment, tapped artifact or tapped creature, and -8, search your library for an artifact or creature card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It gains haste, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So there's a lot going on here. Where do we even begin to break this thing down? So first off, only costs 4 mana. That's very reasonable, and you have some decent loyalty here. Comes in with 4 counters, and you can immediately +2 it to 6. That's actually pretty awesome. Now, rummaging, okay, maybe rummaging isn't quite as good as looting, but it's still pretty good. So I'm pretty happy to have that ability as a +2 ability. I think that's awesome. It's just going to help you cycle through, see more cards, but at the same time is also going to enable things like Madness as well as Delirium, and that's going to be really awesome in this block. If there's any soft spot to this, I would say she doesn't outright protect herself unconditionally. Now, her -2 ability can get rid of tapped creatures, but in many cases you may already have to take an attack before you're able to do that, which might be a little too overwhelming at times. But you can also time this out where the creature's already tapped when you play her, and then immediately -2 her, and then it is kind of protection. So you just have to be thoughtful about how you play it. There's going to be times where this might get stuck in your hand because there's no way to, say, put tokens on the board or something like that to defend herself. But she's so powerful, I think that's fine. I think the way that she can defend herself is good enough considering all the other stuff that she does. As far as her ultimate goes, at first glance it seems like, oh, okay, that's not bad, but I think this is actually really good. The fact that you can ultimate her basically the second turn after she comes into play is pretty awesome. And even if you look at that ultimate as nothing more than a tutor of sorts, it's still really good considering how fast you can make it happen. So you can tutor for something, you get to put it into play and get kind of a free jab with it, and then it returns to your hand, and then you can either cast it again that same turn or maybe the next turn. Now, let's talk about flavor a little bit and some other applications for this card. Now, first off, she's the Harbinger of what exactly? Maybe Emrakul is kind of what some people are thinking out there. Now, that would kind of make sense with her ultimate because she's able to tutor for a creature, put it directly into play with haste, let it attack, then it goes back to your hand. That works very well with Eldrazi's, that when they hit the graveyard, shuffle back into your library, right? Or shuffle your entire graveyard back into your library. If you end up drawing a card like that, you can always rummage it away with her +2 ability, get it back into the library, so when it's time to ultimate, you can get that Emrakul or whatever. So could this see modern play with a combo like that? I don't know, maybe. It's very possible, and I'm sure some people are already thinking about how to brew that. But I think there could be some modern applications to this card. I think we'll see this played in Standard, and obviously this is going to be a limited bomb for you. If nothing else, the rummaging ability could be quite good, even if you don't get to do anything else. Just seeing more cards, and perhaps playing well with the other mechanics like Delirium and Madness might just be good enough if you do nothing else with her. But yeah, this is going to be an awesome card. I haven't seen what pre-order prices are up to yet. Of course, this was just spoiled as I'm making the video, but I'm sure they're going to be up there. I think this is a pretty exciting card, and I think a lot of people want to get their hands on this one. So having said that, those are the spoilers for today. So we will be back tomorrow with more spoilers, and every day the spoilers come out, we'll be putting out a video for you. And then a week from Friday, when the full set's spoiled, we'll begin our full set review, go through all the pieces of the set in greater detail. So as always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Hey, thanks as always for watching. This video, like all my videos, was made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Even a donation of $1 helps me to keep growing this community and creating better quality videos for all of you. Check out our Patreon page for exclusive giveaways and future goals for the channel. If you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the MTG news, spoilers, set reviews, product openings, or finance videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a good day.